Good morning, everyone. Welcome to join us today. As you may be aware of this, Beijing has been putting into a lot of effort into the air quality control over the past few years during the preparation work of the Olympics. We received enthusiastic support from all of the world, especially the United Nations Environment Program walked us through during the whole process. I'm very honored to present our guest for today. He is the Executive Director of the Environment Program of the United Nations, and he's also Under Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Achim Steiner.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to join us. Thank you so much for coming. Over the past 3 years, people have been saying that we have been doing great effort into the air quality control, and especially we're very lucky to have you walk us through during the whole process. I'm just wondering, how do you get involved into the whole process of the Olympic preparation work?
The United Nations Environment Program has a long-standing partnership with the International Olympic Movement and the IOC in particular. For over a decade now, we have been working on the idea of greening the games and also through hosting games, leaving an environmental legacy for the host city. And that partnership was, in a sense, the entry point, together with our past collaborations with Chinese authorities on environmental issues, to try and be an advisor and perhaps sometimes also a reference point for BOCOC and the city of Beijing in organizing and implementing and fulfilling their commitment to organize the Green Games.
Thank you so much. Since I have been in the main press center every day and people have been questioning about air quality every day, we received both comments and some suggestions as well. How do you, in your position, how do you comment on the work that we have been done?
Well, let me say that as the Executive Director of the Environment Program, it will not surprise you that one of our preoccupations is air quality worldwide, and therefore air quality was not only an issue in Beijing with the arrival of the Olympic Games. In fact, for a number of years now, there are efforts in the government with the international community to address the issue of air pollution, which is a very serious one in China. There is a legacy that is very painful for people because pollution has become a part of the daily reality. What the Olympic Games provided was an opportunity to showcase and to create a platform to demonstrate what is possible if you are determined to address this issue. And I think here I would say that a great deal has been shown and demonstrated in the last 7 years, because notwithstanding the fact that air quality levels in Beijing are still not where they should be in the interest of the citizens of Beijing, never mind of the athletes who are here to compete now, if you look at where Beijing was 10 years ago and where it is today, there is a remarkable improvement. And we always have to remember that has happened against the backdrop of enormous economic growth, i.e. delinking pollution levels from economic growth is perhaps the most important achievement. But if you look outside today, yes, you will see haze. Haze is something that also carries within it pollution, and therefore, we should not pretend that there is not pollution in Beijing. But right now, the International Olympic Committee and the monitoring stations across Beijing are assessing on a minute-by-minute basis air quality levels. And I think we will see in the next few days moments when perhaps a decision has to be made that, well, an event may not be ideally hosted now. But right now, as I understand from all the data that is available, the Olympic events can go ahead, and the hosting city is meeting its commitments that it made when it was awarded the Olympic Games.
I think it's so true that you mentioned that air quality control is actually a long-term project. It can be achieved in a very short period of time. I remembered ever since 2001, after the successful bid of the Beijing Olympics, we made a commitment that we're going to improve the air quality in Beijing. I understand that there is going to be evaluation assessment report of the United Nations Environment Program that is coming up in the next half of this year. Would you enlighten us a little bit on what is going to be included in there, and are you satisfied with the work that we have been doing?
When we agreed to work with the IOC and also with BOCOC, the organizing committee here in Beijing, we were invited to do an assessment in 2007 to what extent the city had met its commitments made in 2001 and after that in terms of environmental targets and objectives. And I can say with all fairness that notwithstanding, particularly in the area of air quality and carbon emissions offsetting, which are still areas that we identified alongside water resources management, in most areas, in fact, the city has met and exceeded its targets. And this is a conclusion based on scientific and empirical evidence. It is also shared by many non-governmental organizations that have accompanied the Games. What we are going to look at, however, is the legacy of the Games beyond the actual event of the Olympic Games. And this is an assessment that we would like to do 6 months after the Games. What we're looking for here is what kind of long-lasting improvements have the Games brought. And I think one can already say now, the expansion in public transport infrastructure, the creation of new parks in the city. I visited yesterday the Olympic Forest, the bus rapid transport lanes, the new technologies like the 110,000 photovoltaic streetlights, which is probably the largest number of any city in the world so far, the water recycling measures that have been taken. These are all things that will benefit not only the athletes in the Olympic Games, they are a legacy for the citizens of Beijing, and perhaps from UNEP's point of view, most importantly, a demonstration of where other cities in China and indeed in many other parts of the world should strive to move in the years ahead. And that is something we would like to assess in terms of lessons learned and targets achieved or failed with the report that we will do later this year.
Thank you so much for your expertise, and we really appreciate your time. It's really great to have you here, and it's really great to talk to you. So much.
Thank you. Very nice
It's really
to meet you,
nice
and good
talking
luck.
to you.